Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very good day to you. This is your health and wellness show. Welcome to it. And a conversation that I never quite thought I'd had, but when I was trying to sit properly and when we spoke about screen time and we were on the television and we were just sitting in a meeting, I realized that actually sitting, our positioning, is actually important, because all of a sudden there was some back pain, there was some neck pain, even to the point of leading to a possible headache. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. And to put all of that in context, the word is ergonomics. Today's topic is ergonomics. In studio, we have Wahida Esop, our occupational therapist, who we often chat to and represents the Islamic Medical Association. She came all the way from Benoni this morning to chat to us on this topic, correct positioning of how you are sitting, how you are even possibly walking, how you need to stand, and just, your positioning that it doesn't cause any stress to the rest of your body and possible pain. Let's welcome Wahida Esop. Shukran so much for joining us. Often I speak to you online, it's in camera, and I meet you now and then. And this is probably our second or third meeting we've ever had for the longest time we've known each other.
Everything else has been online, sadly.
But it's always a great pleasure having you support us in the show, having you partake and advise us on various medical matters. And the last time we did was in Ramadan, the Ramadan wellness, the correct positioning when making salah, and actually the advantages of that and how amazing that was. Alhamdulillah. So as an occupational therapist, this is actually your speciality. So tell us a bit about that and how you got involved in ergonomics.
Yes, so as an occupational therapist, I do have, I have always been passionate about pediatrics, so that I think all our previous discussions has been about children.
Kids,
but my main work or field of practice is in adults with what we call medical, legal, or functional capacity evaluations. So that is basically looking at a person that has had some kind of injury or illness, has to go back to work, and they are, or they themselves or their employer is concerned about their ability to do their job. And sometimes they have a legal claim, like an insurance claim, where they are now, for example, permanently disabled. They have some kind of physical disability, and they can't go back to the same work, or they can go back, but they can't do the same. They can't be in the same department, So it's my job then to assess the patient, to see what his capacity is, and then match that capacity with his previous job. And if that doesn't match, then to look at suitability, say he can still stay in the department. If he was a physical laborer, he would have to now do an office job, and depending obviously whether he has the skills, they can be then matched appropriately. So that is my field of work.
That's what you do every day.
Yes.
And yet you just loved, with your ECI store, your focus on kids, the speech therapy, all of those extra psychology.
Yes, so we started the online toy store because, as you know, my passion is peds. So, but just to empower parents with that kind of knowledge about stimulating kids in the right way. So toys was my my go-to, so to speak, and it happened in COVID. So
and this conversation just happened to come up when we were talking, and I realized, oh my goodness, I'm always talking to you about kids and the importance of OT around them. But yet, lo and behold, you were the perfect person to speak to us about ergonomics, positioning to avoid aches and pains. And the term ergonomics, what exactly does it mean if you define it?
So basically, it is our positioning, matching or suitable, how suitable it is for our environment. So it basically looks at everything around the physical body and the environment that we work in.
All right. So to match your physical body and how it best can
in your environment, whether you're sitting or standing in your work environment, or actually everyday environment, should I say, and so that it is basically prevents, it's ideal. It prevents aches and pains and long-term issues. We have come, the world that we live in is, we've got so much of technology. It's basically part and parcel of our everyday life. And if you look at it, human beings were not meant to be sitting at a screen or meant to be sitting at a desk for the whole day.
Okay.
That's really not how our bodies were meant to be. Movement is really, really important, you know, like to keep moving, to keep walking, and to, so that kind of static position, whether even if it's in standing, but sitting is kind of like the worst, you know. So to have that static, continuous sitting is actually not healthy. So that's why we talk about ergonomics, your positioning, and also what you can do in and around your work environment.
So in fact, this now springs a thought when somebody said to me, listen, you know, I'm quite tall. I don't always really stand properly. I lean, I bend, even when I'm sitting, even when I'm standing, then I actually lean forward. I need to go see a chiropractor. Is that the correct way to go?
You know what? I think every person is different. So it just depends on what you do.
Okay.
Your daily tasks. And every person has different demands. I sit a lot when I do admin. Okay. So I would spend, for example, 2 hours at a laptop. Whereas another person has a full-time job and she's sitting. Another person drives a lot.
So you say full-time job, like 5-6 hours in front of that laptop?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Or a desktop. So every person basically is different, is unique, and you've got to look at your case in isolation to say, listen, this is me, this is what I need to do, and what can I now change and amend to make that better. So the whole idea also is prevention. So we don't want to get aches and pains. We don't want to get early arthritis. We don't want to get all of that. So that's the way to go is to...
That is the main focus, why we need to know about ergonomics, Anna. Yes. So to prevent that aches and that pains and that possible... I mean, I know some people even go to the point of, you know, actually getting a headache because the pain has gone to that extent. What are the possible symptoms that you can watch out for if your positioning is not matching your environment?
So it all comes down to your neck and back.
Okay.
Right. So it's and you know, I was actually reading as I was some of my notes and stuff, and they said the human head, weighs apparently on average 2 kilos. The head. Yes, the head alone, right? Average. Okay. Yes. I hope I'm right.
Wow.
And then. But it's actually meant to be upright, you know. So when you do when you do actually flex your head, so even if you're flexing it a little bit, so if I'm flexing it right now, I'm flexing it at a 45-degree angle.
Okay.
And what I'm doing right now is I'm putting about over 20 kilos of strain on my neck. That is
so you added almost 18 kgs.
Yeah.
Just by flexing at 45
Just by flexing.
degrees.
So now imagine you flexing.
So where's the weight going though?
Because you this is your neck.
Yeah.
And now you're doing this.
Yes.
And your neck muscles and your shoulder muscles, your back muscles, everything has to keep your head in that position. Okay. So you to keep that 2 kilo head of yours in this position, all of your muscles have to work really, really hard to actually keep it there. So it's almost like they are carrying now a 20 kilo weight.
Yes, because you're now using the neck, the shoulders, the back straining additional to your 2 kgs.
And imagine now doing that for the whole day. So that's why your positioning at your screen, whatever you're doing, needs to be
5-6 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Yes. So you're going to get the neck symptoms. So it's going to be neck spasms, aches and pains, and that eventually leads to headaches. And then over a prolonged period of time, you have basically then obviously any kind of strain, because remember, the spine is also, in a way, there's joints. So it causes degeneration of that, like it was with all your other joints in your body. And then that eventually leads to backache, on a chronic basis. So you want to avoid all of that.
Wow. And yeah, we're thinking maybe it's because we had babies, which I'm sure is an addition.
It is that. So because remember, you have babies, so you don't have any abdominal muscles. And what we do is we get very sedentary after that. So we don't do any exercise and we don't get our stomach muscles.
I'm going to stop at the stomach muscles.
Yes, I remember.
So actually try and get stomach muscles before you have babies.
Yes, or get them back after babies, more importantly. Yes, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's a lot of factors.
Wow, there's so much more to go in. We just started with the head.
Yes.
And the positioning of at 45 degrees. Maybe if we do it at 50, you're going to do like another extra 10
Yeah,
kgs,
and you must remember now, what we do is the whole time is our phones.
Yes.
So we've got the phones there, and then we're doing this the whole time. Like in the whole time.
And our phones is in our hands, and often I get wrist pain.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to go more into that. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'm moving all the time because I just realized now, am I sitting properly? She's watching me, and my positioning needs to be in a way that I'm not going to get aches and pains. So I'm thinking of that as well, doing the show for you, and hopefully it'll help you. Stay with us. The new term, ergonomics, it's new to me. I hope you have heard it somewhere, but it's the correct positioning so it matches your environment to not cause you aches and pains. But more just after this. Stay with us. Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum. A very good day to you if you're listening to us and watching us across the lands and over the beautiful seas. That is on Hilaal.tv. You can also watch our uploads. The next day we will post it it's available on our YouTube channel. Please do interact with us. We love to hear from you. We're talking about correct positioning, sitting, standing to not cause you aches and pains. And that word to explain all of that is ergonomics. Today's show is on ergonomics with occupational therapist Wahida Essop, who's been with the IMA and the health show for such a long time, and I finally got her in studio to talk about her speciality. So as much as she loved kids, there's this interest where correct positioning of adults and children does play a role. So let's talk about our sitting positions and how we do often strain ourselves in that extended period, and if we can actually sit in a position where we don't strain ourselves.
Yes, so your chair is obviously very important.
Okay.
So when I'm going to talk mostly about sitting at a desk if you have to do any form of work. Yeah. So this is at the office, at home, and in anywhere in between that you do need to sit and actually do some work. You should have a chair that offers you what they call lumbar support. So that's the lower part of the back, and it should provide support. But your chair shouldn't be too low. So it should be up until at least to support the whole of your back. Let's put it that way. The height of the chair is very important. So most of the time you do get chairs that are height adjustable, which is ideal. Mm-hmm. If you aren't able to get a chair that is height adjustable, try and use a pillow or a higher chair, depending on your desk and the size of your body. Okay. What you also need to look at with a chair. So if you're sitting in a chair, you should be able to feel full support at the back, right? And and
bums to the back, is that correct?
Yes. So you're basically going to be all the way back in your chair, and your hips are not exactly at the right angle. So your hip is actually there's a picture. So we're gonna show that on the screen just now. On the hip should be higher than the knee, just slightly. Okay. So your angle here is like about 110 degrees if you think about it. Okay. Yeah. So that should be slightly higher. Mm-hmm. Then the chair, the bottom part of the chair. Mm-hmm. So as you said, you should be flush, but it shouldn't actually be exactly at your knee. So there should be about 2 or 3 finger space between as your knee bends. If you put your finger behind your knee, there should be about 2 or 3 finger space between that.
In there.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. It also shouldn't be more than that, because if it lands like mid-thigh, then what's going to happen is that there's going to be an impingement on your nerves that run there, right? So that should be it should give you enough support, and it should end about 3 finger spaces before your knee.
Okay.
Then your feet should be, now that's usually a problem with me because I'm short. So your feet should be flat on the floor.
Okay.
I use a little footrest.
Okay.
But that should be flat, and then you should have a plus minus a 90-degree angle at the ankle.
Okay.
Ideally, you should have a chair with that has wheels, but with about 5 the caster, what do you call it? Caster legs. You know, like what do you?
The straight leg,
the little wheels,
the middle part,
basically.
And
yes,
and then the bottom part looks like spider legs.
Yes, yes. So that is ideal. Yes, yes. Okay. Because it just makes it easier to get into a chair and then to push your chair in, and basically to
instead of pulling the whole chair and your body closer to. Okay. Yes, because that causes more strain.
Yes, and also if you need to lean and you need to get something, then you don't have to get out of your chair every time. Okay. You can just wheel it a little bit. Grab something and wheel it back. So that makes that much easier. So that's your position in the right chair. The next,
but that wouldn't be the same chair you'd be using if you're sitting and eating, for instance.
Look, remember, you when you're eating, you're not really working at a desk.
Yes.
Firstly, you basically
eating
medicine, and you're not there for hours on end.
Time,
So you can actually sit, but if you have an issue, you have some kind of pathology where even a short period of time not in the correct positioning does cause aches and pains, then for eating, you can consider then having a good chair, a supportive chair. But if it's for a short period of time, and usually you're eating, so you are busy, but you're looking up and you're looking down. So it's not like you're straining and you're at the desk and you're doing that all the time. Yeah, so that's not too bad.
Let's talk about your feet quickly, because I had a friend the other day. She was sitting and she said to me, "Do you know my feet are hanging? My feet are up in the air." And I said, "Why?" Because I could feel my feet firm on the ground. We were actually having coffee.
Yes.
And she says, "Because I'm short."
Yes.
So now tell me, with you, of course, you would know, when you don't have that support under your feet, what is it doing to your body? Because I wondered about her. We sat for almost 4 hours having coffee.
Yes.
And we were talking, and I said to her, "But are you not uncomfortable? Are you?" But she was distracted by talking and getting into the nitty-gritties and stuff.
Yes.
So let's, because we're unconsciously harming our body without even realizing. So tell me what is happening to her feet, her body, when her feet's up in the air, suspended.
Yes.
And she's sitting in the chair.
Yes, look, I think if your feet is suspended, and you have support here, and you're just dangling for a while, that really isn't too bad.
Okay.
But if you don't have the foot support and you don't have the back support, then your body is constantly then adjusting. So you have contraction, co-contraction, different muscle groups, trying to now keep your body to not fall down and not fall back. And so you have that happening. Often if you do it, if you, like me, I don't sit still then. So I constantly move and I adjust and everything. So then it's not too bad. Okay. But now if you in a very awkward position in that for a long time, that can definitely cause some kind of imbalance in your muscle groups. Okay. And that can cause a bit of pain, so then at the end of the day, you may have now a little tension somewhere. Or you feel, this is sore. You get aches and pains at the end of the day. You don't always know why. And that could be the reason.
Okay. I just wanted to know, because now that you're saying it, I was actually worried. I didn't realize it was doing something to her.
Yes.
I mean, if she's not maybe moving around and... Okay. So advice is then not to have your foot suspended, to try and put something.
And I think also
or ask for another chair.
You can.
Can you position yourself a little bit forward to be able to put your feet, or do you just...
You can, if you feel that's more comfortable, or if there is a backrest, then to lean more back.
Okay.
And then at least then your back is supported. So then, and
then again, with people sitting in that same chair that has a little longer legs, is that also an issue, or is that just also positioning till you're comfortable?
Look, again, then if you are very tall and you're sitting in a low chair, what usually happens is this.
Yes.
So
your knees are going up.
I don't know if you ever had speak to old people. They hate sitting on low chairs because they struggle then to get up again.
Yes.
Because what actually happens is then your knees and your hips are at acute angles.
Okay.
And then there's more strain. Okay. So you literally they will say, "Oh, my knees are sore because I'm sitting in that position." So that's kind of a little bit worse if you think about it, to sit in a really low chair and to have that constant strain on the hips and the knees.
Okay. So correct chair, whether you're sitting and working, and then of course when you're eating again, and also not for long periods. Let's talk about when you are sitting in the chair and long periods of time. If you are, what should you be doing with regards to staying active?
Okay, so I always tell, well, we try and encourage people to generally be active. So if you do have a job where you have to be seated for an extended period of time, then stand up every now and again. Stand up, grab something, walk around, or just do a quick stretch. I'll show you some stretches now.
Talk to me about long periods of time. What is that? Longer than an hour?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 60 minutes, get up after 60 minutes.
Yeah, you can even do that after half an hour if you feel like it depends also on you. You'd actually see that after your positioning. So if you've corrected your position, you'll actually feel a bit better, where you wouldn't have to stand up. After you can stand up after a longer time because your positioning is better. But if you're not sure about it, then stand up every 45 minutes or so. Have a bit of a stretch and try and walk around a little bit if you can. If you can't, you can just stand up, stretch, do a little bit of stretches as you stand.
Okay. So you'll explain some of the stretches to us. What else do we need to know when sitting?
So the height monitor, the level of your screen. So your there's a whole. I know we all prefer our laptops. Because it's just so easy and it's there and you can just take it with you, but it's not ideal. So the reason being is that our laptop is small. So what you want, firstly, you want your screen, so this is now whether it's your laptop or your desktop, to be at least an arm's length away, right? So it should be around there. Then the height should be so the level of your eye should basically hit the top of your monitor.
Okay, the top of your monitor.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm sure you're going to look at me. That screen's definitely not right. So you need to keep it. So that's why a desktop, because desktop usually has a separate monitor. So that is higher and it's further away, and sometimes it's bigger, which is actually nicer.
Yeah.
So the reason for that is you want to be able to look down and up, right, without actually moving your head. When you move your head, we have the problem we spoke about earlier. So we have that flexion. You're not going to, we don't realize that small movement and having it for short periods in the day really can cause a lot of imbalance.
Okay.
So if you don't have then, so the one reason is then obviously it's got the monitor for the preference for the desktop. The other reason is that it's got a separate keyboard. So what you want is actually, you want the keyboard to be, I forgot to mention about the chair. The other thing that you need for the chair is armrests. You have to have armrests.
Okay.
The reason being is that your armrests provide support. Okay, these armrests are obviously not suitable. They're too high. So the armrest should be just below your elbow.
Okay.
Right? So and now obviously I'm talking about a relaxed shoulder. So if I relax my shoulder, the armrest should be just below, right? And then it should be next to your body, obviously.
Okay.
Right? So this is obviously out.
This is a fashion chair.
Yes, it's a fashion chair. And then you're going to rest your elbows, and then your keyboard and your table basically should allow for you. So you're resting here. I'm just going to pretend that this is in the right position, and there's no other parts of your body then that's actually touching besides the elbow.
On the armchair, on the
chair.
Yes.
Okay. So then you've got
you're
resting
fingers. Your elbows on the.
You're resting your elbows, and then your fingers are typing, and that's what you're doing.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there so we can have that in our minds, inshallah. And Wahida should be doing I'm sure she's going to go to our offices and check where our positionings of our PCs are. But that is ideal. Wahida is the type of person that actually you need to get into your office to go and check if you want that all to be conducive with your staff, to not be having their days off with back pain and shoulder pains and headaches. But we talk more on ergonomics. That's the correct positioning of your body to your environment without causing that. It doesn't cause any aches and pains, but more just after this, stay with us. Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum. A very good day to you. Remember, you can also follow us on our social pages and watch us via hilaal.tv. I'm Khawa Solomon. Stay with us as we're halfway through ergonomics. If you've missed the first bit of that explanation, it's about the correct positioning of that you need to be in your body, matching the environment. So whether you're sitting, whether you're standing, whether you're watching TV, whether you are holding your phone, a very, very informative fact that I've taken out of there, just by moving your head by 45 degrees forward. Your head itself is almost around 2 kilograms. So just by moving it by 45 degrees forward, if you want to look at your phone, you're adding 20 kgs to that. Oh my goodness. And that's all straining your shoulders, your back. So that's just one fact if I've learned anything from this, Wahida.
Yes.
Okay, so we were chair, positioning,
yes.
Keyboard, monitor.
Yes, so we were at the keyboard. So basically, as I said, your arm rest for your chair should be below your elbow, and that should rest, and that should basically just allow you then to type using your fingers. Okay. We don't want you to have your wrists, your forearm, basically on the table. Oh. Because the reason being is that basically also can impinge your nerves, and that's usually one of the causes of carpal tunnel syndrome, where I'm not going to go too much into that, but yes. So basically, when you have the support, then you don't have any kind of impingement of anything else in the forearm that can actually lead to strain. Then your mouse should ideally be then on the right, if you're right-handed, on the right-hand side, but it shouldn't be out there. So you shouldn't need to reach for your mouse. It should be, okay, I got my mouse and I'm using my mouse.
But you often have your hand on your desk using your mouse.
Yes, so that's why
wrong.
Positioning is, so you basically, you've got to get your keyboard, what they usually say is that your B key, which is the middle key, should be in line with your belly button.
Oh, okay.
Right. So then your keyboard's in the middle. So, and if you have your mouse at the right spot, you basically you moving from your armrest. You're moving from your armrest over to your mouse, and you're doing that.
Okay. Right. Understood.
Yes. So if you do then have a full-time sedentary job, or you are at a screen for a lot of the times, or for long periods of times during the day, I'm going to just recommend, and obviously you can't now have this constant change of position, it's just not possible with the type of demands that you have in your work. Okay. You can do a few exercises. Right. So it's basically stretch exercises that you can do. You can do them maybe once a day if you feel you've had a lot of work. You can do them more than once. So I'm going to just quickly go through them. Okay. And the first one is a chin tuck. And that's basically you taking your chin, you taking your fingers and you're pushing your chin back. And you're holding it there for 5 seconds. So so it's just this, basically.
With these two fingers?
Yeah, well, it doesn't really matter. The whole idea is as long as you're getting the chin back, right? So that's.
But you're not just pushing your chin back. You're actually going with your whole body back.
No, it's only your chin. That's actually your head. Maybe I'm not doing it right. Okay. So basically, I'm doing this.
Oh, your head. Okay.
So nothing else is. My shoulders dropped. It's just normal, and then this is happening. Okay. Right, and you keep it there for 5 seconds. The next one is...
and that's in your sitting position?
Yeah. Okay. It's basically a stretch. So your elbows are back and your chest is out. Okay. And then that stretch you're going to keep for about 30 seconds.
Sorry, your elbows out?
So your elbows are basically like this. Okay. And then your elbows going to be moving towards each other at the back.
Oh, okay.
And your chest is almost like your chest is going up. Forward. So it's that the stretch we normally do, but we normally like put our hands at the back. I don't know if you do an exercise, but this one here it's similar to that. It's just that you're doing that kind of stretch. It's just because remember you're sitting the whole day like this.
So almost like you're yawning and you're stretching your body.
Yes, and you're opening everything up again. Okay. Again, for 30 seconds, you're going to hold that stretch.
That's for 30 seconds.
Yes.
And this one was for 5 seconds.
That's one is the only one that is for 5 seconds. The rest will all be for 30 seconds. Okay. Right. And then you have the quad stretch, which is basically, I don't know if you've seen people exercising, then they lift one leg up and they pull the leg back. So so to do the same thing on each side that you can do while standing and holding a desk, and to stretch the quads of 30 seconds each. And then the other one is called a piriformis stretch. It's basically one of the muscles in the back, the bum area, and it's where you have to cross your legs over. But you can do it in a standing position, but also hold the side, and you sort of almost like squat down. So you're stretching that whole hip muscles in that whole area because of this sitting, and that we constantly in that position. It allows that to sort of open up a bit, and it does the sort of the it puts the muscle in the opposite position of what we are normally in. So it allows it to stretch. 30 seconds on each side. And then there's a what they call a prayer stretch. So that's basically you in that prayer position, and then you are moving, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's down. So you move down and you try not to release your, you try not to separate your palms, basically. So you move down as low as possible.
So from your nose?
It doesn't actually matter. The important part is here at the bottom.
You stop here.
Yeah, but now when you're doing this, you need to feel the stretch here.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. So if you go more down,
but I'm feeling it in my hands and my fingers
already.
Am I going out too much?
Go more. Just go more down.
Okay.
So,
there, I feel it.
So you feel it there, right? Okay. So that's called the prayer stretch.
Also 30 seconds.
Also 30 seconds. Okay. And then this one here is called. So it's basically like this, but then as we are here, you're gonna get your elbows down. But keep your hands together, and then it's basically you just have to feel that pushing. So you're stretching out.
Yes, I can feel it.
Yeah. So you stretched out this part and you stretched out that part. So it's quick stretches that you can do. It really doesn't take a lot of time. Remember, these are just general stretches for an office worker, right? If you do have niggly aches and pains or some kind of underlying pathology, there may be other stretches that will be beneficial for you, but then you can just find out from your practitioner or your OT or your chiro physio. They would be able to advise.
And as we spoke earlier on with regards to the person to go and see, I said this individual said to me, you know what, I should go and see should go and see a chiropractor. Would that be the first port of call? Would you go and see your GP and they advise you? Who should you be phoning? Because an OT would probably know all about that.
Yes.
But now your pain is like really bad.
Yeah. So I think the first step is always to go to your GP.
Okay.
Because you don't know what is the issue. You need a diagnosis to start off with. So if you are, and also you want to exclude anything that could be more serious. So you go to a GP, he does an examination, and he says, okay, look, it does really look like there's just tension in the back, or it's degeneration of your joints or whatever it is, and then he usually advises that, listen, maybe you need to go to a physio for some treatment, or he may advise then a chiropractor, depending on what area is then being the problem is. So from there, remember what an OT does.
I was just going to ask now, what is the main reason for the OT?
Yes. So the OT, our is basically getting the person back. So they've gone to the doctor, and then they've gone for their treatment sessions with the physio. Yeah. So they had their back and their neck sorted out. They know what exercises to do, and they've been treated. But now they need to get back to work.
Yes.
So we need to look at now the environment when they're back at work.
Okay.
And then also just the general prevention is also our role.
Okay. Because kids go to occupational therapy. I remember taking my son for OT when he was having some sort of delay in his speech and his just whole development.
Yes.
So OTs do play a big role with kids as well.
Yes, so that we have a whole pediatric area of occupational therapy. Yeah. It's just like you have different specialties. So I'm going to be getting Wahida very soon on the Parenting Today show, inshallah, where she can help parents advise
on the correct positioning when they are on their screens,
Yes.
even when they're sitting at their desks, possibly.
Yes, excited about that.
And I mean, our kids are learning, doing their projects, they're searching, they're Googling, they're on their laptops, and you get the Digi-Ed as well, where the
Yes.
kids, the high school kids are now
Yes.
mostly on their screens
Yes,
as well.
yes.
So this positioning that you're saying, laptops are actually the complete no-no to go for you guys.
Yeah, so what you can also do with a laptop is you can actually put it on something higher.
Okay.
And then get an external keyboard.
All right. Yes.
So obviously you can't carry your
No,
external
that's
keyboard
possible,
everywhere,
yeah,
but you can, if you have a workstation, you have it there, and then you have a little. I have a little desk, a laptop stand, so my laptop goes on there.
Yeah.
Still not ideal, even though it's an OT station, but you can put it on something higher, so you have the height at the right level.
And I was looking the other day for a keyboard for my tablet. And I took my laptop out and I was like, oh, now I've got a laptop and a keyboard, a separate keyboard and a mouse. And those things are available, which is so brilliant nowadays.
Yes.
So to say that, I think I got it for like $150 or
They're not
200 Rand.
expensive. Yeah.
For you to have that strain and cause
Yes.
that strain weeks later,
Yes.
go and spend that $150 Rand or $200 and go and put yourself in the correct positioning that you can, hey?
Yeah.
So let's talk about standing positions and the options for that, because I've seen people actually standing and working on their
Yes.
laptops.
So what they actually they encourage that quite a bit. So they have.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We've just been notified. We need to quickly take an ad break.
No problem.
When we come back, inshallah, we'll touch base on the standing, the TV positions, and getting the kids and the family all involved. Because of course it starts with us,
Yes.
inshallah, and ripples through that information. We'll catch more on ergonomics, correct positioning for your environment, so you don't have those aches and pains. More just after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum. We're chatting about ergonomics, correct positioning of your body to match the environment that you're in, whether you're sitting, standing, laying down, even possibly holding your phone. And this is a new term for me, so take it down. Let's keep that discussion going. And then it's leading to other things like carpal tunnel syndrome, correct positioning of your shoulders, your posture. We haven't even spoken about posture yet. We have Wahida in studio with us who does this on a daily basis, advising patients after they've maybe had an accident or there's struggling with aches and pains, to advise them on their environment for their workplace, inshallah. So standing, we stop there. The standing positions, if you are using your laptops, what are the preferences, and your posture there would come in?
Yes, so quite a popular thing that they recommend is to have, you get what they call a standing desk.
Okay.
So that's a desk that you can actually work with, and you get ones that actually can convert. Yeah, very bit pricey, obviously.
Convert to what? Standing to
from
sitting?
sitting to standing,
Okay.
yeah. So that's actually nice because what it allows for is then you sitting for a while and then you're basically standing up and then you're taking all the pressure off those joints because now you're with this and then now you're that. Right. So same thing applies. You have to have the monitor on that level. Your desk is obviously going to be below the elbow. Okay, and then you're going to be working like this.
You don't need again the support.
So then you actually what happens in standing is that you don't have armrest. So what you can do is you can move your keyboard slightly forward, and then you can actually lean just your elbows on the desk. But then it has to be really at the right.
But then it's at an
height.
angle.
No, the angle is fine as long as you have this, but you mustn't have it up.
Okay.
So it must be relaxed.
Waist about,
and then and that's also ideal for like any kind of like table work. When you're doing table work, we roll rotis and we do all sorts of things to have that a little bit of space under your elbow. And if you have that space under your elbow, you know that you're working at the right surface.
So your height of your table you're referring to. Okay. So it can't be too low because then you have the stress again of the head.
Yeah. So when it's low, then you're bending and you're bending your lower back, and that's actually worse. So I get that pains when I do dishes. So I can't
Don't do dishes. Yeah. You can't do dishes. No, it's a no in your house for you to do.
So that's standing.
Okay. So if you at any stage when you are sitting, feeling that pain, you realize you sat for 45 minutes.
Yes.
You're advising us do the stretch and then come back to your chair, check your positioning, correct it.
Yes.
where can we find, I mean, of course, we're going to show our viewers on screen as well, just because, I mean, I've got pictures everywhere of my kids. How do you brush your teeth? How do you take wudu? How do you, are these positions perhaps available that one can find and like sort of stick? Because we forget. We sit
Yeah, no, you do. You
and
do.
then like quickly to do that correct positioning.
I'm just trying to think.
I think we'll put it on.
If you just, I think if you Google it, there's a lot of just put ergonomics in an office environment.
All right.
If you Google that, I'm sure you'll come up with a lot of
because that for
things.
me, the first thing that comes to it. I mean, we're losing our memory at this age.
Yes.
We can't even remember that.
No, it's so true.
We came into the kitchen for coffee. You walk out and like,
and that's why I'll go to Google and to YouTube. So if you do that, you can actually get a lot.
Let's talk about other factors that we've maybe missed out, like lighting. The options of standing. Is there a stretching standing position when we are standing? You know, what other factors can we still
I think the other thing that you need to look at is vision. So basically they have a 20-20-20 rule. Okay. So they say if you've been focusing on the screen, then after 20 minutes, right, that's first 20, you look at something for 20 seconds
away.
That is 20 feet away. So that's roughly about 6. Okay, I know we don't work with feet, but it's basically roughly 6 meters away.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the screen, then for 20 seconds, I basically look at something that's far away. For 20 seconds.
Vision is. I thought 20/20 vision
I don't know actually.
But it makes sense.
I suppose so. Yeah.
So look away after 20 minutes.
Right.
At something for 20 seconds that is 20 feet away.
Which are roughly about 6 meters. Yeah.
Now that makes more sense.
Yes.
Because I was thinking, no, your vision is somehow numbering that the optometrists know is 20/20. Now I've got 20/20 vision. Now it's 20/18 or something. Okay. So 20/20.
That's just to avoid like constant strain on the eyes. Mm-hmm. The other thing is lighting. So you don't want a light behind the screen. You don't want a light that's on the screen.
Okay.
You want your light to be sort of at a 90-degree angle, so it's coming from the side.
Okay.
And
doesn't matter right or left, eh?
No, I don't think so. The other thing that we encourage. Remember, when as an occupational therapist, we look at a person holistically, and we look at their functional ability, and we maximize your potential in every area of your life, to generally just be to keep healthy, and that includes the whole physical exercise.
Yes.
And when you're doing physical exercise, yes, your cardio is important, so that's important for the general health. But other two factors that we often forget is the core muscles. So that's in your Pilates class, or at the end of an aerobic class, or your tummy muscles. So develop that, make it stronger, especially for us mummies. Right? Because remember, your stomach is stronger, it supports your back. Okay, if you don't have this, there's more strain on the back. Yeah.
So when you're having back pain, it's often that your issues is around your core.
Can be, yes. So, and the other thing that you should do with your physical exercise is you should have a stretch session, or include stretching.
Before.
Included, they usually recommend after an exercise. So a session where you stretch your body, and you know what, there's so much of stuff out there. You can do a half an hour just of stretching, but include that stretch segments in your normal, because with stretching, stretching is almost like your safety factor when it comes to exercising. So when you stretch your muscles, you are actually keeping them safe, and you're preventing injury. So in the same way, it will be overall a way to sort of maintain your joints and your muscle groups.
Okay, let's talk about TVs and other
screens.
non sort of standardity position that you are working, like you're relaxing now. So you're watching TV, or you're sitting waiting for someone, and you're driving.
Yes.
Let's talk about other positions.
Okay, so look, the one big thing is our phones, and I think that causes like the most amount of neck strain, more than even sometimes your desk at work. Okay. But because we're doing that the whole time, right? So so try and use your speaker as much as possible.
Okay.
I put my WhatsApp on my laptop. So that helps a lot. So you don't have to look at
Check
this
your
and
phone.
type here. You can
Yes.
just do everything on your laptop.
Yeah.
And those kind of things help. If you have a tablet, try and use it in this position where you're using both sides instead of opposed to one. If you can, where you can. If you're doing something, you're watching a movie, you're watching something on there, use it as a stand to put it on.
Okay. So the height
and it must be higher.
Okay.
So the stand mustn't do this. You mustn't allow that. The stand must be on that level.
Or you need to change your positioning, maybe
Yes.
sitting on a lower chair or a couch, laying down.
Yes, as long as you get that. If you're watching TV, look, it's you're relaxing.
Yeah.
So already you are relaxed. And just depending on your couch, you can position yourself however you want.
You're comfortable,
I have my son knows, he brings mommy's puff and I have my 2 pillows and that's how I sit.
Okay.
But I mean, everybody else relaxes and chills. As long as you change position and you feel comfortable and you don't feel any strain, that should be fine.
Okay, we have to wrap up, and of course
No
there will be
problem.
probably a part 2 with all our questions and comments that has come through, queries of people who are asking about, Wahida, can you advise on how I was sitting at work? Is this the right chair? Guys, alhamdulillah, we will be able to send you some questions as well afterwards.
No problem.
And people can send out pictures of what they're sitting on currently and where they're at, and we can hopefully help them and advise them and do a follow-up show. But we will be seeing you on parenting today to help the kids and moms and dads to advise them and proper manage their sitting, seating and posture positions. Wahida, it was a pleasure chatting to you. Always is. And so nice to have you in studio with us.
It was really lovely.
So I hope to see you again soon, inshallah. And thank
Inshallah,
you again
Ameen.
for the great information you've parted for today, inshallah.
Pleasure.
We'll chat again to Wahida Essop, our occupational therapist, advising us on this new term of ergonomics, correct positioning for matching your environment that you are working in, that you are sitting in, that you are watching, using your phone. More on that you can catch on our Parenting Today show, where we will talk about the kids for that matter. But that's a wrap for Health and Wellness, your Health and Wellness show. Join us next week, same time, same place. Wassalamu alaikum and goodbye for now.